Hey, everybody. Dr. Rob Silverman here, live again, third week in a row. Thank you for asking so many great questions. Tremendous communication from last week to this week. Really excited about sharing some information, waiting for some people to pop on. We had to switch it an hour earlier. Has something to do at 2 o'clock, but we will be here every week, Tuesday at 2 p.m. I know 1 p.m. is a little different, but we'll be here every day at 2 p.m. So let me know where you're from. I know last week we had a whole bunch of people from not just around the US, we had them around the world. And it was great to hear from you. We had some people from Colorado. We had some people from Mexico. We had some people from Malaysia. We had some people from Canada. We had some people from Topeka, Kansas. So just let me know where you are. I've got some really good stuff to cover. And you guys sent in some excellent questions, and I'm looking forward to sharing my answers with everybody. How are we doing on TikTok? We're solid, and we're good on Instagram, and my StreamYard is working really well over here. So, we got somebody who popped in on one of the things. They are from New Jersey. Okay. Hey, Jersey, how are you today? Excited that you could take some time during your lunch hour to make it. We're all set. We can just pop in and go. Colorado. Yep, I was waiting for you. I know you like to share that. So we have a little bit of a delay here. So it takes about 20 seconds after you write something in for me to see it. So we'll go from there. And I really want to cover this conversation about intermittent fasting. I don't even want to use the word study because it wasn't even a study. First of all, I can't believe the amount of news, how much space it took in everybody's mind. I can't believe every major news article talked about it because, first of all, the first thing you want to do before you talk about any kind of study is it a study? The quality of the study, the weight of the study. Is it a double-blind placebo with human clinical trials study? And the answer to your question on all those right off the bat is no. It was a poster presentation that was not published and not peer-reviewed. So the quality of the study to date is crap. It's garbage. As we used to say in the Bronx, give me a flipping break. Come on. I can't believe that a study like that got any information. It was an observational study. So people observe, but it was retrospective. So let me explain to you what that means. They asked the people to do a food recall the day after or 2 weeks later. They asked them what they ate. They asked them the quantity of the food. I mean, do you remember what you had for breakfast? Do you remember how much? Do you remember if it was 4 ounces, 6 ounces, 8 ounces? What times they ate from the previous day. So it was an observational retrospective study. They collected data over 15 years. So that study was a poster presentation in the American Heart Association when they met together on March 18th to March 21st. The study was presented as a poster at the conference. The study details were limited. Full study needs to be peer-reviewed before publication and before conversation. And what did they say? They talked about an increase in 91% possibilities of cardiovascular issues and a 3.9% increase in cardiovascular mortality. Now, what's interesting about all that was the people in the time-restrictive eating intermittent fasting group already had pre-existing conditions like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, weight, whereas the people in the non-time restrictive eating who got to eat what they wanted and when they wanted, they had no predisposition. They had no pre-existing conditions. So here you were taking some people that are destined to possibly be sick versus people who were not on that path. And you were saying because what you did and you asked them to tell the truth about what they ate, which is probably what got them there in the first place. And then they made this vast conclusion. There was 414 participants in the time restrictive eating group versus almost 12,000 in the non-time restrictive eating group. So the sample sizes, the choice of samples just absolutely negates any kind of findings that they had. The people also in the time restrictive eating group had a higher body mass index and were more likely to smoke. So for me, I mean, I don't get it. It pissed me off. I mean, in every major news carried it. Every person who's in nutrition said big double thumbs down. I mean, we can argue about intermittent fasting. Is it just caloric restriction? Does it really help autophagy? Is it the key component? Is it a component to longevity? Should everybody do it? How to have the women do it differently? But to do something like this and make this kind of statement without backing it up, without being published, forget it. So next, did we have anybody write in any questions? Because I had some questions that they sent in. So I see everybody comes back. So if you just tuned in, I know, again, we were a little earlier. If you wanted to know about the time restrictive eating study, which was a poster presentation, real simple. So let's get to another one of the questions. Somebody said, they heard me on a podcast. We were talking about a lot of perimenopausal and menopausal women specific things. Could I share 5 hacks for gut health during menopausal period or perimenopausal period? It's a great question because during perimenopausal and menopausal periods, that 10-year transition, women have an increased incidence of leaky gut. They have an increased incidence of loss of muscle mass. So as you lose estrogen, your muscle mass goes down. If estrogen stays high, female's muscle mass stays high. So the first hack I would do for the gut would be to incorporate fermented foods. Fermented foods like kimchi, fermented foods like dill pickles, pickled onions. Fermented foods are great because they allow for a prebiotic, a probiotic, and they also eventually allow for a postbiotic to be present. So they are, without question, a key contributor to good overall gut health. Take a daily pre and probiotic. Now, even in addition to eating your fermented foods, I like taking a pre and a probiotic. I think they're great choices. A probiotic, everybody should pick from the cherry tree. There should be what we like to refer to as biodiversity in the probiotic. Everybody should use some different probiotics. And the prebiotics of choice would be something called XOS, xylo-oligosaccharides. You can get that in a supplemental form. Try to avoid, if you can, unnecessary antibiotics. Nobody's saying don't take an antibiotic. No one's saying don't take an antibiotic for MRSA. No one's saying don't take an antibiotic for meningitis. But, you know, when you have these options of just staying on antibiotics for a long period of time, it's probably not the best choice. I saw a study recently where they talked about taking an antibiotic and how long it damaged your gut microbiome. You know, 80% of immune cells are in your gut. And they said 1 dose of antibiotics unsettled your gut ecosystem for 6 months. So try to avoid the unnecessary usage of antibiotics. Try and decrease the consumption of ultra-processed food. Ultra-processed food, 63% of the calories that the average American in America consumes come from ultra-processed food. A real quick definition of ultra-processed food is 5 ingredients or more. Jacqueline once said, if man makes it, I won't eat it. And try and also decrease your added and refined sugars. And lastly, weight resistance. Everybody should do weight resistance. You know, I see so many young men and women running to the gym, 21, 22 years old, running to the gym with a lot of weight resistance and things of that nature. And it's a good thing, but it should be people more my age in their 50s because we need the weight resistance. We actually need to increase the consumption of protein to allow to build some muscle mass. So I think I'm getting somebody to... Great question. Somebody said what to eat on antibiotics. Excellent. Or what to take on antibiotics. Because the rule of thumb has been don't take any probiotics when you take antibiotics because they'll be killed. But that's not necessarily the case. You can take a probiotic, a supplemental probiotic, and it's called Saccharomyces boulardii. Saccharomyces boulardii is a yeast that functions like a probiotic. So therefore, the antibiotic will not kill it, and it can repopulate as you break down from the antibiotic. Another probiotic that I would make a recommendation for would be Bacillus subtilis, which is an endospore. It's encapsulated. So it's kind of like an acorn and it's protected. And in that protection, also the antibiotic won't break the shell. So you've got two probiotics that are great, great choices. Those two probiotics, again, would be Saccharomyces boulardii and Bacillus subtilis. Looking for another question to come in. And here we go. It seems like everybody's up on the menopause thing. Perimenopausal women say 7 foods to boost estrogen. Here's my 7 food list. Number 1, soy and legumes. Great choice. Flax seeds. Flax seeds are excellent because they're anti-cancer. Dark chocolate. I want organic, 80% cacao on dark chocolate. Garlic oil supplements are also a great choice. Red clover, vitamin D, and DHEA. Another question from last week that they sent in was women in midlife going through their transition, if you will, peri to menopausal, have an increase in constipation. And it's true. Many patients coming in that are anywhere from 45 to 55 and 60 complain about constipation. Well, here's the reason why. During menopause, your pelvic floor muscles, they weaken. They weaken because of a loss of estrogen. As we said earlier, the loss of estrogen decreases your muscle density, your muscle performance, your muscle protein synthesis. Also, women have a tendency, as many people, obviously, to have a decrease in physical activity. Also associated with the constipation is most Americans consume an inadequate amount of fiber. The average American consumes 8 to 15 grams of fiber. We need 35 or more. And those hormones, of course, are really, once again, I want to reiterate, causing changes, including constipation. So my solution is up your fiber. Eat some good quality fiber. Drink more water. Water with lemon will help you. Get physical activity. And one of the best things you could do, my health elixir, is coffee. Organic coffee will help you become more regular, increase your motility. Another question about perimenopausal and menopausal women was that they read somewhere that menopausal women have a higher incidence of UTI, urinary tract infections, and that's true. Again, directly attributed to the loss of estrogen. It weakens the urethral muscles. That makes it easier and wider for bacteria to enter the urethra and move up the bladder. So those are some of the questions that we got before. And somebody else asked me, intermittent fasting, caloric restriction. Yeah, we kind of covered that. I am a big proponent of intermittent fasting. Got another question coming in. Animal versus plant protein. Okay, real simple. I am 75 to 80% plant, 20 to 25% protein. I have no problem with plant protein. I just think animal protein is better for muscle protein synthesis, power, grip strength, and of course, the meats that we're talking about are meats that are in reference to grass-fed meats, grass-finished meats, not your typical soy-fed, antibiotic-fed, etc. meats. I'm just waiting for that last question to pop in. Okay, strength training, yes or no? This will be the last question. Strength training, flexibility training, stability training, cardiovascular training. Strength training should be 50% of your workout because muscle mass is your longevity organ. Stability, good strength training, dumbbells, kettlebells, body weight resistance, TRX, etc. In addition to that, stability training like plank, balance training, etc. Flexibility, yoga, if you have the opportunity for it, and cardiovascular. For people under 50, I do like more intense cardiovascular. For people over 50, I wouldn't do more than 4 minutes. So Tabata for somebody over 50 would be a much, much better choice. So that intense exercise, everybody's jumping around and wanting to jump rope in the back over here. It's kind of cute. I would recommend doing the Tabata type exercises. We will be back next Tuesday. at a regularly scheduled time at 2 o'clock. I thank you for all the questions. If you have any questions when you see this on Memorex, drop it in a comment. Tell everybody to please follow me, Dr. Rob Silverman. It's always my pleasure. See you soon.